Wife, F35, has emotional affair with online gamer friend. Too long did not read. Wife has connection with friend online and has emotional affair. But I could really use some help regarding what to do next in our long-term relationship. Edit. I just want to say thanks for those that have taken the time to read this small novel and who have responded, even if harshly. I can't express enough how much it helps. Let me preface this by saying that love my wife very much and that we have been together for over 18 years with young teenage children together. My wife and I are gamers and have been since we've met. Over the course of our relationship, and in effort to make things a little interesting in the bedroom, I have opened the boundary to let her engage in online erotic roleplay in the online video game we played together. I know she really enjoys the stimulating conversation, and it was always done under the guise of our in-game characters. I always figured it was a modern-age interactive form of erotica with another person and is somewhat clean, fun. But over the past few months, she has shifted from playing online MMOs to team-based shooters. She eventually formed a group of friends and kept playing together. At one point she reached out to one of these teammates in the flirty way like she would do with our MMO characters. While there was never an explicit boundary set to the online MMO game that we played, I never expected her to engage in these explicit conversation outside of a game that had a dedicated area to it, with fictional role-playing characters. In shooter games, you don't play as a character, you are you, and it's not just text-based but voice as well. Had I known this would have been something she would have tried to do, I wouldn't have been comfortable with it. Well, she really liked the conversation so much so that she claims to have started developing an emotional connection with this person. This connection happened without my knowledge as I didn't play this shooter game. In fact, it was only an accident that I had discovered that this was even going on. I had sent a text message while on vacation claiming to see her provocative text, emails as a playful way to be risque over the phone, but of course, it turns out there were texts. When I returned from vacation, she confronted me about snooping, reading her personal messages, which threw me for a loop because I had no clue what she was talking about, but eventually told me about everything. My wife is very open, and I believe everything she told me about their previous communication to be true. I reacted coldly when she told me everything. I was upset and jealous. I went to bed that night to wake up to the sound of her immediate family coming in the front door to help her move her things out of our house. It's worth pointing out at this point that the relationship between my wife and I was rather simple. We worked opposite shifts to avoid childcare expenses, so we only see each other a limited amount of time. We've been saving up money to move and buy a new house, so we haven't been having a lot of date night type experiences. Even the video games we played were usually different due to our tastes at the time. Although I really do love playing games with my wife together, sometimes I find that after a certain point some games tend to get a bit too repetitive. When she was moving her things, we had a lot of deep emotional conversations, revealing needs and wants we've both withheld from each other for one reason or another. It was a big revelation and we wanted to rebuild our relationship on a solid open foundation of trust. Despite it not being less than 48 hours, she ended up moving back in. She revealed that she had added this person on Facebook and that they had been using that to communicate, which bothered me because again, this was completely outside of any game, and is much more personal than video game avatars. Since we were re-establishing our relationship, I had asked that she break off ties with this person and she told me she had. But a few days later, while updating her laptop, she had unintentionally left open a sort of diary, journal. Inside this diary, in very, very graphic detail, were fantasies my wife has written involving this person. Highly sexual and detailed fantasies. Reading those short few pages was a pain I had never felt before nor knew was possible. When I saw her next, I asked her about the writings and she told me that those were fantasies that she had about this person. She at some point started reading the fantasies to me. It was very awkward but oddly arousing at the same time, because while she was reading them, she became very excited, which in turn got me excited as well. One thing led to another and before you know it, we have some of the most intense sex in years. It was so great, in my blissful state I suggested that my wife keep interacting with this person, in order to keep this hot fire lit. Just like how she used to use the erotic roleplay characters. She liked that suggestion and happily hopped on board. But I didn't consider what that would really look like. Since then, my wife has shared some of their interactions and it appears that she is really smitten with this person. She checks her phone constantly for updates. Her mannerisms, tone, and the words she uses remind me of how she spoke when we were first dating. She sends update photos, random thoughts, etc. to this person. The him versus me text message ratio is like 15:1. She's treating this guy like a boyfriend and it hurts. It hurts so much because it feels so wrong. She's my soulmate, my heart and fire, and she's spending her energy with another person. And then there's the other stuff. Something about reading text another guy has written to your wife about hitting it from behind. Or eating her out. Yeah, that's great to read. It's even harder to read the stuff she writes about him. Anyway, I'm feeling hopeless, worthless, crushed, and whatever adjective you want to use for absolute garbage right now, and I don't know what to do. While my wife has been very open about this whole thing, I can't help but feel that our trust has been damaged. The guy she is interacting with is not single, he's doing this behind his wife's back, and my wife thinks that is okay, just like how she did with me. She thinks what people don't know can't hurt them, but in a committed relationship you need complete total honesty. I swear she felt like a different person when she told me that, because up until that point my wife was the most honest person I knew. I can't let this continue. I am having some of the most darkest thoughts I've ever had in my life. The worst part is I don't know what to do, and I don't have a lot of people I can comfortably reach out to. It's not like this is something you brag about. Should I let her continue and just keep going? At the moment, I feel more like a roommate than a husband. When we kiss, it seems like those European on the cheek kisses, but on the lips instead. I don't know how to describe it, but all of our conversation feels awkward and we seem very disconnected. I feel like an idiot when we talk sometimes because I'll ask an obvious or repeated question because my mind is constantly swimming. I seriously cannot think straight. I feel like I'm constantly paranoid about what's going on and what's being said. Almost every minute. I hate it and I'm sick of it. It seems like the only real option I have is to give her an ultimatum, me or this guy, and it makes me sick. I love her so much, with all of my heart, and I want her to be happy. Her joy is everything to me. I really don't want to be a controlling or possessive person, but I don't believe I can comfortably let them interact with each other, even if they agree to be only friends. He's already hinted at hiding the conversation to begin with, and with my wife's loose take on what people need to know, it's hard to put trust into a pot that's shoddy. But I can't stick around and watch as this all happen in front of me either. It actually makes it hurt all the more typing that because my wife really is a special person, and it kills me inside knowing that there's a very real option on the table where I don't get to spend the rest of my life with her. Then she's having fantasies about this person and dreaming about this person. I don't want to deprive her of that. But Jesus Christ, she's known this guy for what, less than 100 days? Like, I'm your husband of 18 years. It makes me physically ill to think that everything we built, our family, home, memories, everything we've shared together, everything was for nothing. Is this the end? I don't want to give it up. I feel like we have so much more to live for. She's hypnotized and it's killing me. Is there anything I can do? It seems like the only real option I have is to give her an ultimatum, me or this guy, and it makes me sick. What does that achieve? Best case scenario is that she picks you, in which case you're stuck married to a woman that had to be threatened before she stopped her long-term disloyal behavior. I think it's time you recognize that love isn't enough for a relationship. You also need respect and trust. At the age of 35, you have so many years of your life ahead of you. You're going to be making more money, becoming more successful, and having more avenues open to you in life. The absolute worst thing you can do is cling to this mistake, just because you spent 18 years making it. Stand up for yourself. You deserve so much better. The relationship is most likely over. We've been saving up money to move and buy a new house, so we haven't been having a lot of date night type experiences. It seems to me that you or both of you have given up on the relationship and are treating each other like roommates. You got comfortable, too comfortable. She wants love. I'm sure you do too, but it takes work, and now you're suffering the consequences of letting a relationship die. Divorce is a perfectly fine thing to do here unless you both agree to fight for each other. Doubtful. While I normally suggest long-term relationships try working things out, it seems like you have already tried that and it only backfired on you. She might have a real strong connection to this person, who is being unfaithful and sneaky. She is engaging with a full-on cheater. That alone can only lead to a lot of pain for many people. She should have ended things when she was told he was going behind his partner's back. She is playing with fire. You allowed her to do so, then encouraged it as well, so you are at fault. If you want to try and salvage the relationship, Let her know how painful this kind of thing is to you. 1. It's not an ultimatum for her to choose between you or that guy. If she's with you, she owes you the respect. Otherwise, she should leave and date that guy, out of respect for herself. 2. Emotional cheating is still cheating. Know your self-worth and please find yourself someone who deserves you. This brings back terrible memories of my mom doing this when I was a teenager, waking up at 4 a.m. to my dad standing in my room crying. It's devastating to a family. I don't have any advice except to please hide this from the kids. Please don't make them go through this with you. Honestly bro, you need to tell her how you feel or put what you wrote here into notes in a diary form and let her read it. Just straight up lay it on the table, and if she even hesitated to choose you, then leave. Only then will she really stop and realize that she is making a mistake. And through that maybe your marriage can be reconciled. I'm very sad about that and wish you the best. It's got to be tough. Just understand that your life doesn't have to fall apart because one person. I know it's hard to hear or believe, but you can always move on to better things. Seriously bro, do what's best for you and not her, especially if she can't do what it needed. Which is stop all that contact and treat you like her loving husband. I won't talk about how you fucked up when you allowed her to stay in contact with that guy to keep the fire between you lit. You need to tell her that her actions and behavior is right now driving your marriage against a wall at high speed. Her continued cheating on you is having the opposite effect. Instead of heating the fire between you, it kills your marriage. Tell her that she is no longer the woman you once married and that you don't want to stay in this marriage any longer. That is only hurting you. Ask her to pack her bags and to get back to her parents, since you need some time without her to process what she did, to understand what it means that she doesn't care about you, and to make a decision about your future. She cheated, dude, it's that simple. You want her to choose between you and him, you need to choose yourself, and this is like some sad NTR hentai. I would also take screenshots and send them to the guy's wife you're with. Thinks cheating is fine, he seems why she's cheating. I would also DNA test the kids. Also, ultimatums are for idiots because they choose you then still talk behind your back. Just change gamer tag of name in it. My stepsister and I are in love, but her ex is threatening to ruin everything. I, 19M, and my stepsister Sonia, 19F, are in love. Our parents got married when I was 6 and she was 7, she's a few months older than me. Because of custody arrangements, we never lived together full time, so she never really felt like my sister, more a friend who I had the best sleepovers with. Our senior year of high school, she admitted that she'd had feelings for me. I swear I never was happier. Even though I had a little bit of hope, I decided I'd never make a move on her, so when she told me I was flying. Of course we couldn't really start a relationship while living with our parents, so we came up with a plan. We'd enroll at the same college and cut off all our former friends, including on our socials, which we then set to private. We already have different last names, so that wasn't a concern. We told people we were childhood friends with strict parents who decided to start dating when we got to school. The strict parents thing isn't untrue. Our parents would definitely flip if they knew we were dating. And the past year has been significant other good. Dating her is amazing, she's the best person in the entire world. Everything feels so natural. We have a great group of friends and I swear my life has never been better. Then came this summer. I got a job on campus so I wouldn't have to go home. Sonia thought about staying but decided to go back to her camp counselor job back home and live with our parents. While I was sad she'd be leaving, I had full faith that she'd keep our secret. And now here's the but. But her ex is working at the camp, too. Apparently she let it slip that we were dating, she won't tell me how, but I think she was drinking, and now he's threatening to tell our parents. He says it's because it's gross and wrong, it's not. I've never thought of her as my sister. But I think it's because he still has feelings for her. He's texted her on, off all year, even though she ignored him. She called me crying, not knowing what to do, and honestly, I don't know what to do either. Is there any way I can keep this guy from telling my parents? Or advice on how to make our parents understand that we're serious and in love with each other? I know this situation is unusual, but I will be broken if this ends. Too long did not read. I'm secretly dating my stepsister at college, but her ex found out and is threatening to tell our parents, which would ruin everything. And #X200B. Update. I called Sonia to talk about what to do next. People here seem to think that telling my parents was the best idea, so I told her that we just needed to talk about it like you, CRAD11 said, and talk about how it wouldn't be weird if the roles were reversed. She asked when we should do it and I said I could book a plane ticket for tomorrow. Then she got really quiet and told me not to. When I asked her why, she started crying. Then said that she was the one who asked her ex to tell our parents so she wouldn't have to. That she was hoping that it would make it seem like I manipulated her into a relationship so they wouldn't hate her. That she thinks the situation is weird and doesn't want to be with me anymore. I asked if we were breaking up and she said yes. I asked her if she was going to have her ex tell our parents and she said no, not if we were broken up, so I guess we'll just keep it a secret that we dated. She says she's going to transfer schools this fall and that she doesn't want to talk to me for a couple months. I never had a clue. I thought we loved each other. I still love her the way I've loved her most of my life. I thought we were choosing each other the way no one else has chosen us our entire lives. I don't know what to do. Honestly, I want to die. So I guess. Thanks everyone for your advice. I'm sorry I couldn't use any of it. After update. Dude, I'm so sorry this is on her. Please don't blame yourself, you really dodged a bullet there. Would you want to be with someone who lied to you and deceived you, and manipulated others into doing the tough work for her so she doesn't take the blame? That is not a responsible or mature person, and you really deserve better. You need someone who will have clear and open communication with you no matter what, and who will treat you as you treat them. This is not right, and I'm actually happy for you in this case. I'm sorry I know you feel horrible for now. Take the time to grieve, you will heal, but know that this is better for you in the long run and you will find someone who deserves you. This is going to fuck up your entire family. Stop. Find other people to date, both of you. 19. Block her and move on. Have fun. You have a job and your parent are paying for you college. Have fun and move on. Is there any way I can keep this guy from telling my parents? Or advice on how to make our parents understand that we're serious and in love with each other? You're both 19? You're not related by blood? Become independent. Do what you want. Laughing my ass off the update. Hilarious. And I quote. And the past year has been significant other good. Dating her is amazing, she's the best person in the entire world. Everything feels so natural. Apparently not everything felt so natural if she thought you were weird and manipulated her into doing all of this. I don't get how people are defending this, especially considering the language. She isn't going to frame you to her parents as though you manipulated her, she legit told you. She thinks the situation is weird, she thinks you manipulated her. Given how divorced from reality your own perspective on this is, I'm willing to bet you absolutely did. I think coming clean and bearing the consequences is the best thing to do. Your parents are gonna think it's wired, but trust me, they will respect it a lot more if it comes from you, not from being tattled on by a jealous ex in the most dramatic way possible. Bullet dodged. Sorry, but the fact that your stepsister felt so scared, upset that she needed a third party to step in and tell your parents about your relationship shows something was seriously wrong. It sounds like she was desperate to get away from you and didn't know how to do it. Step-siblings who have known each other since childhood dating feels very incestuous. If she says she felt she was manipulated into this relationship, I'm inclined to believe her, especially with how manipulative your own language is here to try and sway us to your side. Am I, 30 female, wrong for asking boyfriend, 36 male, to set up boundaries with his ex-wife, 35 female? I, 30 female, am having issues with my boyfriend, 36 male, and his ex-wife, 36 female, remarried. We've been together for about a year. They have 2 kids, both elementary school, and co-parent. Co-parenting in their situation equals birthdays are shared. They've all done holidays together in the past. Things have gotten a little too chummy between them, and now I'm uncomfortable. Background on their relationship according to BF. While married, together 10 years, they eventually started to feel like roommates. According to him, she got plastic surgery and went a bit wild and started posting inappropriate photos on social media. She rekindled a romance with a guy she'd known in HS via social media, decided to go through with separation, moved across the country to be with new guy, leaving my boyfriend and her kids behind for about 6 months. After some court battles over her sending him child support, she moved back to the area to avoid it, new husband in tow. Side note. XW's social media accounts don't mention currently having a husband and she doesn't have any photos of them together, only her modeling photos. New husband, on the other hand, pretty much exclusively has photos of them together. Fast forward, 4 years. They're on speaking terms now. My first real encounter with XW was at one of the kids' birthday parties. XW came over to decorate 1 hour early, before anyone else arrived. XW and boyfriend are in the kitchen, joking and giggling. When I enter the room she turns the flirtation up a notch. I expected her to try to make me uncomfortable, and it worked. Boyfriend acted like he didn't notice or didn't care when I brought it up. When they drop the kids off, 50-50 custody, they usually go inside each other's houses to say bye to the kids. This didn't bother me for a while, because this was their system before me. I usually sit in his car if I'm with him when he drops them off at XW's. However, I feel that things have gotten too friendly. XW confided in boyfriend that her new husband just isn't as handy or proactive as boyfriend is and that she has to do home repairs all by herself. I wasn't there for this convo, but was told about it later by boyfriend who was bashing new husband. I feel like her confiding in him was a step too far. I also feel like he cares way too much about the new husband. Since then, she has continued to linger in the kitchen, giggling and chatting and hanging out longer than I believe necessary. The kids have usually exited the room well before she leaves. Some of these visits last around 30 minutes, and don't center around kid discussion. I brought up how I feel about all of this, and boyfriend writes it off as me being insecure and jealous. I have brought up my concerns about the future, because he talks about marriage, moving in together in the near future. I asked that, once we live together, in a new house, as planned, she drop the kids off on the porch and that they can conduct business there. He says that this is a step in the wrong direction, called it a hostile act, and that I need to just deal with it. I expressed that he's not wanting to compromise on any of it, but he writes it off as me being jealous. He said that asking her to drop them off at the door would only cause heartache for everyone. I honestly feel like it is less about his kids and more about whatever he and his ex had between them, and I feel like my comfort in the situation doesn't matter. Too long did not read. Boyfriend of 1 year seems to be getting too close, flirty with ex when they drop kids off. I have expressed my discomfort in the situation, but have been written off as insecure and jealous. I have asked for boundaries, but he refuses, saying that will only do more harm than good. Divorced parents who have a good relationship is a blessing. She is the mother of his children. You have only been together a year and that's not that long, plus his children are always going to come first. You're adding jealous when this isn't really about you, it's about their children. It sounds like they have a good parenting routine for their kids and are on good terms. They will always have a relationship because of their kids, and if you can't handle that then you need to maybe not date someone with kids. If you actually want a future with this guy, you need to quit being the passive girlfriend who waits in the car. And stop letting her mess with your head. You're doing half the damage for her. She doesn't want him, but she wants him alone and at her beck and call. Sounds like a normal relationship between two adults who have kids. The only red flag I see here is your reaction. Seems like jealousy on your part. There's 3 forms of relationships after a divorce. 1. Not talking and strong dislike, a bad divorce. 2. Divorce was mutual so they're fine with each other but don't talk outside of kids. 3. A mutual healthy divorce where they still can be friends. You have the most healthy option and you're upset. They seem a bit too chummy to me. All of that would irritate the shit out of me. If it were me, I'd leave. It sounds like they have a healthy and respectful relationship for their kids. As the girlfriend of a year, your complaints are beyond silly and you need to relax. Yes, absolutely yes. If you are considering marriage, then absolutely double yes. Husband originally contacted me because of his RPE kink. Is there coming back from this? We are both in our 20s. My husband and I met when he DM'd me on Reddit. I had posted about my experiences as a CSA survivor and then an adult RPE victim, meaning all my sexual experiences with men were abusive and non-consensual. I basically just asked for a nice, normal guys were out there. I deleted the post shortly after, but my now husband DM'd me that he'd like to be my friend. He sent me a picture of him, a cute and non-threatening guy doing peace signs, with a little greeting text. His account history was really normal. We spoke about things I liked and he liked and eventually stuff we both liked. We started dating and got married very fast because I felt like 1. This was intense first love. There were no other guys like him out there, and 2. He wanted me in his country as fast as possible, and I wanted to get out of mine. Neither of us liked having an LDR. He has been very good to me. We didn't have PIV sex until we were married for a year, and even after that first time, it stayed an occasion for a while. A while ago he suggested, as a coping mechanism, for us to try RPE. He said he heard about this RPE survivor saying it worked because it gave her all the control in her RPE and allowed her to enjoy it. I said that's horrible to me, I never want to enjoy being ped, and he apologized to me. Recently, he said he found another source backing it up. I'm a bit of a doormat, so I said we could try it. I give him a lot of credit, because he stopped instead of me. He realized I was terrified and not enjoying it, so he stopped himself. He admitted to me, growing up he watched a lot of pay porn and it's still a habit he can't shake, that he used to browse the pay, CSA, abuse, incest support subreddits because of this. When he originally contacted me, he did want to make me feel better, but it was this kink attracting him to me before he even knew what I looked like. The kink made him interested in me. He says he can go without it, he's sorry he hurt me, and he knows I'm going to be upset, but he had to tell me. I am upset. He's been out all day, at my request, which he understands. I don't have any friends I'm close enough with in this country to tell. What do I do? What would you do? I feel genuinely betrayed. I don't know if I'll be comfortable around him ever again, or even able to trust him. But I love him and he's been taking care of me and so good to me for so long. I keep going back into fits of tears and panic and I just want to love him again like normal. That was horrifying to read. To put it another, more precise way. Your husband surfs those subreddits, looking for women to revictimize. I had to reread this to make sure I read correctly. He browsed Reddit with the purpose of exploiting somebody who was vulnerable, who was processing their trauma, who wanted genuine support, all for this kink of his. I'm pretty sure he could have ventured out to other subreddits or platforms, but he didn't. I know you said you wanted out of your country, but reading that this was a rushed relationship and he wanted you to move to him, as fast as possible, makes me think he just wanted to isolate you so you would mostly, if not solely, depend on him. He is disgusting. Easier said than done, but leave. He is a predator and you deserve better than that. That's disgusting that he tried to convince you that him pretending to rape you would help you. Also, he could live out some sick fantasy because porn isn't enough for him anymore. As a rape survivor, myself, I'm disgusted and horrified for you. There would be zero coming back from this for me personally and I would never be able to look at him again. I'm worried for you. You are in a foreign country with no support systems. You made a huge legal commitment to someone you had been dating for a short while. Who sought you out specifically because he fetishizes your trauma? Who kept this from you until recently? Who manipulated you into play even after you put up a hard boundary against it? There are so many red flags here. I think you should go back to your home country, provided there aren't still travel restrictions, get support from friends and get therapy. You need space from this guy. His actions come across as very predatory. I want to throw up. Nope. 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 Get out, if you can.